Okay, we're in Parsha Ki Sisa, Perek Lamed, Pasuk Yud Aleph, chapter 30, Exodus chapter 30, verse 11. And it says, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe le'amor. Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, when you will take a census, Ki Titza es Rosh Bnei Israel, Lif Kudehem, Venasanu Ish Kofer Nafsho. It says, when you take a census of the children of Israel according to their counts, every man shall give Hashem an atonement for his soul when counting them, and there will be no plague among them when counting them. This is what they shall give. Everyone who passes among the counted, half the shekel by the holy shekel. The shekel is 20 gera, half of the shekel as a portion. And it's interesting what the HACHAIM says here. The HACHAIM talks about this, and he compares verses 12 to 15 to the death of the righteous. He says this is the remez, and he says according to the approach of the remez, the passage can be explained as follows. He says the verses here come to reveal the secret ways of Hashem with regard to something that he sometimes does in his world, which causes bewilderment to all to see it. Specifically, when an upright, righteous person who is taken from the world before his time, and they live out only half their days, a fate that would be appropriate for men of bloodshed and deceit. When this happens, people are confused and can mistakenly think one of two ways to explain it. Either they deny heaven, spare us, that the righteous are destined for happiness, and that they come to the conclusion that there is no benefit to be had from the efforts one puts into the service of Hashem. Or, if they still believe that the righteous are rewarded, they think that this particular person must be a fraud, that his hidden life was not like his public life, and the natural assumption that he was a good person is thereby shaken. For if the righteous people are rewarded and evil ones are punished, this person must have been secretly evil to suffer such a fate. To address this, Hashem said in the verse, and he says, Ki titza es rosh bnei Israel, when the head of the children of Israel will be lifted. And he says, meaning, if you see that a great man of the children of Israel, a head, i.e. a prominently righteous person of the Jewish people, is taken away before his time, the word tisa is translated as lifted, meaning taken away. And the HACHAIM goes on and he says, and he does not go to the grave in a ripe old age like a sheaf is brought in its season. That he does not live out the expected lifespan. The reason for this current occurrence is lif kudehem, due to their deficiencies, i.e., it is due to the sins of the Jewish people. The fact that the death of a Tzaddik can atone for the sins of the people as a whole is based on what Chazal stated in their expression of the verse Shir HaShirim, which is Song of Songs 114, where the Jewish people state about Hashem like a cluster of henna is my beloved to me. And Chazal said Shir HaShirim Rabbah, the word, and it says Eshchol, is interpreted as Ish Shehachol Bo, a man who has knowledge of everything in him, i.e. he knows every part of the Torah. Such a man can serve as an atonement. And it says Kofer, for the lives of the Jewish people. If the Jewish people sin, Hashem may take such a person before his time as an atonement for the entire nation. And HACHAIM continues to go on about the death of the Tzaddik. And I just wanted to share that because many anti-missionaries and people out there will say, no, someone can't die for another's sins and all of these things. And know that a Zadik can't suffer, but it's all over in the Jewish writings. It's all over. The sages talk about this over and over again. Also, we're coming up to the holiday of Purim, and this is just interesting from the HACHAIM that we see here. He explains about the verse in this Parsha as well in chapter 30, verse 22. It says here, Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "Now you take for yourself choice spices, 500 shekel weights of pure myrrh." And that's in verse 23 here, which is interesting. When you go to verse 23 in the Hebrew, okay, it says, Ve'ata chak lecha besamim. It says, Rosh ma doror. Okay, so Chazam Cipher comes along and he says, when we refer to this verse from the term Madoror, pure myrrh, one of the spices used in the Ketores, the Talmud Chulin 139b finds an allusion to Mordecai in this pasuk, in this verse. At first glance, the association with Mordecai and Madoror is a little more than a play on words. In reality, however, the association is far more significant. Both words allude to the theme of the change. Myrrh derives from the fluid of a non-kosher animal. This is quoted from Rambam, Hilchos Klei HaMikdash, and yet it is transformed into the premier spice, as Besamim Rosh implies. Of all the hallowed spices used in the Mishkan, so too, despite his genealogical link to Shimei, who had cursed David as the monarch fled during Absalom's revolt. This is in 2 Samuel 16:7. Mordecai was transformed into one of Judaism's greatest leaders. So we see that Mordecai is a hero, and also we go into the Aramaic, and when it says Mordoror in Hebrew, we go to the Aramaic, and it actually says here, Meira Dekoy, and we see it's very closely related to Mordecai. Esther is also alluded to into the Torah as well, which Esther means hidden, and also Haman. When Adam ate from the fruit, Hashem says, "Who told you to eat from Hamin ha'etz, who ate from the forbidden tree?" It's alluded in there as well. I'm not quoting the exact words. This is just from my memory, but this all alludes to the Zadik, and even in Purim, as we come to Purim, we're celebrating, and what do? We drink a little, but what happens? Haman, the evil villain, he wants to hang Mordecai on the gallows, and what happens? The reverses, and Haman is hung on the gallows. And we get a little drunk so that we don't know the difference between blessed is Mordecai and cursed is Haman. Why? Because we see the Nachash, the job of the Mashiach is to atone for Israel, the death of the righteous, and see the Mashiach has to be the Nachash. He has to go into the Klippa. He has to ascend into the deep parts, the darkness, and take on evil in order to shine from it. So when we see that, we know that Haman's on the tree, but when we get a little confused and drunk, it looks like we're seeing the king on the tree with the crown and the robe, and we can't tell the difference because Mashiach and Nachash, they're almost the same. The Nachash equals 358 in Gematria, and Mashiach equals 358. And the job of the Mashiach is to take on the form of Nachash, just like Moses lifted up the pole with the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be, Yeshua says. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, and just randomly talking here. Hope you enjoyed what I had to say, though. Just spur of the moment thing. Everybody have a great week. Shavua Tov. Stay blessed.